Hello, and welcome to this Exposure Events instructional video. In this video, we will set up an event, schedule it, and publish it. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and log in on the Exposure Basketball event site here. I'm going to log in with my director account, and I am going to click the Add Event button. You can also go to Events and click the Add Event button there. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name here. We'll give it demo, we'll give it the date, and we'll give it some dates here. Maybe we'll give it on a 2-day event here on the weekend. We'll go ahead and fill this out. Just the required information. We do recommend filling out as much information as you can because we do have a directory where people filter on. Let's go ahead and hit save here. And we added our event. Now the next steps I'm going to take are for scheduling purposes only. So I'm going to go to Divisions under my event here. Click Add Division. I'm going to put 17s. I'm going to hit the plus button instead of the save button. That will give me the opportunity to add another division real quick. I'm going to hit save now. And if I click divisions in my breadcrumb here, this is a nice little navigational item that will help you navigate throughout your event while you're setting it up or just modifying it. And you'll notice the 2 divisions I created. Let's go to teams first in the 16s. And click Add Team. And you can import teams into the system if you have your own registration system. Just download our CSV file. Just open up Excel, copy and paste your columns in, and import the teams in. We added our 3 teams to our 16s division here. I'm going to go to my division details page and go to pools. Click add a pool. And it's basically saying I have 3 teams. It's recommending a pool size of 3, which is going to give me 1 pool. I could put 6 in here if I only get 3 more teams. 6 divided by 3 is going to give me 2 pools. I hit save here. I don't need the first pool, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that guy. And I'm going to go ahead and drag these guys in here. Now, if you have a lot of teams, a lot of pools, you don't care where they go, you can hit the sort button down here and actually put them in there randomly or some other kind of sorting algorithm. Let's hit save here. I'm going to go to brackets now. This is going to be a pool to bracket play division. Click add bracket. Default name is championship. I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to go down to the participant section. I'm going to populate this from the pool standings. I'm going to keep everyone selected here. If I didn't want 3rd and A to go in here, I could deselect that. I'm going to keep it selected. Bracket placement, you can play around with that. Most of the time you're going to use standard or balanced. Total participants, I'm going to have 3 because 3 are selected in here unless I want to choose 4 and have an extra participant. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a template here. I'm just going to do a winner's bracket, but you'll see multiple templates under these total participants here. And I'm going to hit create bracket. You can also see the preview down here if you really needed to. And that will create my bracket. As you can see, there's 2 games, and you could come in here and you can modify this guy if you wanted to move things around, if you wanted to add games down here, if you wanted to add a note, an image, you can do that. So it's really flexible. If you needed to add, modify maybe just a game here and put a specific team in here, I can go to teams and select that. If I need to reference an external bracket, I can choose bracket and find an external bracket. We only have 1 bracket in this division, so we don't have any others to reference. But I'm going to keep it the same here. I'm going to hit the cancel button, and this will work just fine. Let's go back to our divisions page and go to 17's division. I'm going to hit add team, and I'm just going to add 1 team in this division. You really don't need any teams to set up or actually schedule something if you really wanted to. I'm going to go to pools now, and this is going to be a pool division. So I'm going to do 3 and 3, create 1 pool, drag that guy in there, and keep the other 2 blank. Maybe I'm going to find 2 other teams to fill in there. All right. So if I go back to my event details page and I go back to schedule here, it's going to say, hey, you need to add a venue. Now if I go to my global venues up here, I already have some in here. I can add a new venue by hitting the add venue button down here. If I just go into Ballard High School here, you'll notice there's an abbreviation, there's an address. If I go to courts, you notice my courts that are related to this venue. But you just add this venue one time with these courts, and then you just need to add them to the events that are going to use this court. So if I go back to my event here, I'm still under my event details, so I'm going to add a venue, and it's going to give me that same global list. So I'm going to choose Ballard High School. I'm going to give it a start game time at 8 a.m., last game time at 6 p.m., and don't read too much into that. You can change those on your schedule grid or override them on your dates view when you actually create your schedule grid. So we added one venue. That's all I'm going to add. Let's go back to our event details page. Let's go back to schedule. And we get a new view now. We get a dates view. So let's go ahead and add our dates in here real quick. So I'll do the 27th, hit add. Now if you're doing a league, you can add your first day and say, okay, I want to do every 7 days and hit the plus button. That will actually increment that previous date every 7 days. So if you do have a league, you could do that pretty quick. So I'm going to choose the 28th though. Just add that in manually. Now, if I wanted to delete a time, I could do that. And if I wanted to overwrite that last game time with from the previous venue one we set it up, I think maybe it was 6 o'clock. Let's do 4 p.m. on this one. And we'll just add that on Sunday. Maybe we end a little bit early on that day. Go to settings. Time increments. Let's do 60 minutes just to keep it simple. Time between games, we'll do 60 minutes, and we'll do max games per day. We'll do 2. We'll go ahead and create our grid here. And let's go ahead and hit save here. There's one last thing I want to do. So I'm going to open up my event details in a separate tab here. And I'm going to go to teams. This will show all my teams in this event, all 4 teams that I added. I'm going to go to restrictions in the sub menu, or I'm going to hit the plus restriction button. I'm going to add a couple restrictions here. I'm going to add a team restriction. Don't schedule selected teams at the same time. Maybe they have the same coach. So let's go ahead and say team 1 and 16s and 17s, they have the same coach. We'll add them real quick. Maybe we'll add a date time restriction. We'll say team 1 and the 16s can only play before 12 o'clock, maybe on the 27th here. They can only play in the morning. And we have a couple others. If you want a division or event to only play at a certain court, you can do that. And exhibitions for more complex scenarios. If you select division for a team, their games won't count against their pool standings. So it's good for shootout events. Let's go back to our event here. Let's go ahead and just reload the page since we added those restrictions on our grid. And let's go to full screen mode. Now, what we recommend is setting up your grid exactly the way you want. If you need to block off sometimes, just double-click some spots. They will turn gray. You won't be able to schedule games there. You can delete times. You can edit times by clicking on the time on the left side. You can add dates. You can add times. So it's really flexible. We recommend just setting it up exactly the way you want. My grid's good to go, so I'm going to go ahead and concentrate on my matchups now. So if I click my unscheduled games button down here, you know there's 2 games. Those are those 2 bracket games we created. So second name, third A, the winner that will play first in A. So where's our pool play game? So we need to actually create those ourselves. So if I click the add plus game button down here, we'll get a little modal here. And we can do it, we can create the number of matchups for all divisions or per division. If your number of matchups are different per division, you might have to do it division by division. Now, I know I have a pool of 3 in both these divisions, so I'm going to keep the number of games blank here. And what that will do is actually do a full round robin for that division. So if I had a 5-team pool, everyone's going to get 4 games. If I had a 3-team pool, everyone's going to get 2 games and so on. But if I want to explicitly say, hey, everyone's going to get 2 games, I can type in 2 here. And that will actually make sure that even for a 5-team pool, everyone's just going to get 2 games. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep that blank. And hit save there. And we'll get our matchups. So 3 pool play games in each division. That makes sense. Now, if I wanted to see the team names in here, I can click the team name button down here. And that will actually show the teams. So I can see the team names here. And you'll also see a little R next to the name here. That will mean there's a restriction. And if it was an exhibition game, you'll see a little E next to it too. So let me go ahead and go to 100% view here. I'm going to keep it in the minimize view for the sake of scheduling here. And if you need to change the settings after you previously set up your grid, you could go to settings down here and modify the guys here. So just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to, how do you actually get these games into the grid? Now you can auto schedule if you want to. So if I click the auto schedule button here, we recommend doing it division by division. I don't have a lot of games here, so I'm just going to go ahead and schedule those real quick. And they should have put them in there the way we want, 2 per game per day, and they'll take the restrictions into play. So if I move that out, there's a date time restriction that they only can play in the morning, A1 there. I'm going to go ahead and unschedule all these games though. If I'm going to click the unschedule button here, and you can unschedule per date, just one division, just pool play, just bracket play. Maybe you messed up on Sunday, unschedule all those games. I'm going to unschedule everything here, and I'm just going to do drag and drop. I personally like to drag and drop. I just feel like I have more control, so it's up to you. And you can auto schedule and then drag and drop afterwards if you really wanted to. So it's just a preference thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start dragging the 16s divisions round 1 game here. And you'll notice that you can't play after 12 o'clock, and that's because we put a restriction in for A1. They can only play in the morning, though, so we're going to put him in here. Again, A1's playing in this game. If I dropped him into this spot, the time will turn red, and there will be a little red dotted line around the game here. So you'll know when a restriction's occurring. And you'll also notice when I start dragging these games turn white, and that's because A2 and A3 are playing in both those games. So you'll know where to actually put these. If you didn't want to do a back-to-back, you know not to put it here. Now, if you did put it here, we don't warn you in real time. Maybe you did it on purpose, but if you want to hit the validate button down here after you schedule a division or your whole grid, it's going to tell you, hey, you're under the 60 minutes before your next game at this spot. And you got to navigate and find that guy and fix it. So if I fix that guy there, I'm ready to go. And that 60 minutes is where we added under the settings here, time between games. So let's go ahead and schedule the rest of this division in the 17th. Now you notice that these two games turn red, and that's because A1 in the 16th and 17th can't play at the same time. So you'll notice that too. Now if I put it in the same row, there's a validation warning, of course. So let's go ahead and just schedule the rest of that division. We also validate pool games, or bracket games before pool games. So let's go ahead and schedule that on day 2. And if you put a round 2 game before round 1, we also validate that too. So let's go ahead and fix that. We'll hit save. If you just want to schedule one division at a time, you can click 16s in the legend here, and it will also showcase those games in the grid, so you'll actually see visually where they're scheduled at. So I can see the championship bracket games, I can see the 17th schedule. So everything's done on one screen. If you need to modify a pool play game, you can double click on it, and you can change the participants here. So I can choose whoever is in this division and make him play. Now if I wanted to make this game an exhibition game for both or just one team, I can deselect pool play, and what that will do is make sure that game doesn't count against their pool record. Rounds are just for auto schedule and just for visual purposes. And if you wanted to remove this game, you can click the remove button. So let's go ahead and publish this guy. I think we're ready to go. Let's get out of full screen mode here. And we're going to go to credits here. Now this is our quick publish menu. Now if you wanted to see more details until you get pretty familiar with the exposure system, you can read the publish article here. But I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick publish. So there are currently 4 active teams without credits. You need to purchase credits before you actually publish the event. So a credit is basically a team. Go ahead and purchase those credits. A button will show up here if you don't have credits yet. I actually have under my account page here 96 team credits, so I'm good to go. But this button would be a little bit different if you actually had to purchase them. So I'm going to go ahead and apply those guys. And I'm good there. So I'm going to go ahead and publish my pools. And it's basically saying, I don't have a tiebreaker rule, so make sure you set that if you are doing pool standings before you actually publish everything. So I'm going to go to schedule here now. I'm going to go to brackets. Everything's published now, so we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and see how this looks on the public side. So there's a few ways you can do this. So let's go to our let's go ahead and reload this page here. Once you publish this event, this button used to say website. Now it says schedule. So let's go ahead and open that up. And this is our event website. Now, if you don't have a website, you don't like the way your website look, or it's just the easiest thing to do, just copy this link in the browser, or just copy it right here and just send it out in an email, put it on your site. A lot of people do that. So let's show you how this looks. So I'm going to click on my 16th division here. And so here's our pools. Now, if I chose a tiebreaker rule, you would have point differential, points allowed, whatever sport you're playing, runs allowed, etc. Below that, you'll see schedule. Below that, you'll see a bracket. So you can download this schedule if you really needed to. So it's an 8.5 by 11 PDF. I'll open that up. And there's a number of different reports you can choose from, but all our brackets fit to one page, so you can blow them up. You don't lose any quality. I can switch divisions here if I go to 17th. And you notice that TBA, we didn't have those two teams in that division, and we just have a schedule. We don't have any bracket in here. Now, you also know there's two buttons up here. This is our default exposure app. We do offer custom apps for organizations that want a custom app, and those buttons would actually go to the actual custom app. So if I open that up to our default exposure app, it's ours. It has people's events on there that don't have a custom app. If I go down here, you can see there's a custom app for, say, USA Youth Hoops. It has their logo, just their colors, and just their events. So that's the external way to reference your schedule. Now, if you want to put the schedule in your website, what you can do is click the widgets button here on the right under your event details, and there's a number of different widgets you can choose from. Schedule is going to be the one you're going to be using the most. Basically, if I hit the preview button here, it's the exact same view you just saw, except there's no container. So basically, you put this code, in your site, paste it in there, and it's basically going to render this view right in your site. It's mobile friendly. So if you do have a mobile-friendly site, it will look good on mobile devices. So if I click 16, it's going to work exactly the same way. It auto-resizes. There's no ads. And you can style it too. So if you wanted to change this color, this orange color, to something else, you can do that. You just need to reference a CSS file here and have your web designer put it up on the server and reference this from here. The last way to actually see the schedule is through the app. Let me go ahead and bring my iPhone over here on the screen. This is my daughter. Now you'll see a custom app here. So if I click on this one-day shootouts, you'll see this is their custom app. It has their logo, just their events, their colors. So it's really custom for them. You just search for one-day shootouts in the App Store, download it one time, and it's on your user's phone. Now the event we just added is on our default app, so I'm going to click on the default app, and let's go ahead and search for it here. And there it is. Let me click on it. The initial view you'll see is the Find Games view. So that basically will give you every day and every game that's going on at that time. So I can click on the 28th. I can see all the games, every division, what's going on there. If I go to divisions here, I can click on the 16th, and I can see I can go to teams, pools, brackets, schedule. Let's go to teams here. I can see all the teams in that division. I can go to pools here. And pools are real time in any view you see. So after round one games, you'll see who's first place, second place, third place. And when pools are done, we actually push them to the bracket for you automatically. You don't have to actually go into each pool and actually push them yourself. So it saves a lot of time. You just put the scores in the system, and we basically take care of the rest. Schedule, you can see the schedule for that 16th division. You also notice there's an ad at the bottom. Now the ad is on by default in the default app. Now it's off by default in the custom app, but you can actually add your own banner. So if you do have sponsors at your events, you can actually add your own banners to the app. And you can do that through AdMob by Google. We do have a tutorial and an article on how to set that up. If I go to teams here at the bottom, you notice that here's all my teams, and there's no search filter because there's only 4 teams. But if you had a lot of teams, you actually can search for the team. So if I click on team 1 here, I can actually subscribe to this team here. If I hit the subscribe button, I can put my phone number in here, hit subscribe, and I will actually get game notifications right to my phone. I'll get the team's final score and the team's next game. So it's really good for bracket play and college coaches who's maybe following a team. I can see the pools for this team and the schedule. If I click venues, I can see all the venues at this event. If I click on Ballard High School, I can actually get directions to it and go to schedule here and actually see what games are going on per court here. If I go to more, I can click on the notification section and manage my notifications. If I go to documents, I can actually upload documents from the asset section of the exposure website, and maybe you want to put a rules document or a flyer for your next game. I can go to messages here. Now let me go ahead and drag this off here. Messages can be sent from the event details page message button here. And you can actually send put a title in, some description, attachment. You can make it visible on the app, the event website or widget. And you can also just send this maybe just to coaches if you imported their email, or to everyone. So if a parent subscribed to a team with their phone number, like I just showed you, you can actually send a text message to your phone. So I can select send text, email. I can also post this message to Twitter or Facebook. So maybe Gym A's air conditioning went out. You need to let everyone know at the event that those games are going to Gym B. So once you post that or send that out, if someone didn't subscribe to a team, they will actually see it in the messages section on the app or the event's website or widget right at the top. There's a contact section. We require an email. If you want to put your phone number, you can. And we also can do custom links at the left side here. And you can do your Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram links on the left side, or your official website. You can also put register buttons for upcoming events. So if you wanted to register right from your app, someone's at your current event, and they're, hey, I want to play in this organization's next event, they can do that from the app. The only thing about us is the About App link at the bottom, and that's it. This app is very custom. We want to promote you guys. Now, how do you update scores? I can go to my event details page here and go to schedule. And this, you can do this from your Director account. If you have a laptop or desktop set up at your place, I can hit the plus button here on this game. This is just a table view of my schedule. And I can put the score in here and hit save. Now, if you want to actually update scores from your mobile device or have someone else do it that doesn't have access to your admin account, we recommend creating a Scorekeeper account. You can do that under Users. Click Add User and actually add that Scorekeeper account and give them the username and password where they can log in and update scores from the website. And there's an article on how to do that too. The last thing I'm going to touch on is if I go back to my event here and go to Reports in the submenu under my event details, you'll notice a number of different reports I can choose from here. These are 8.5 by 11s. We do offer larger sizes. You can print them off for either college coaches packets, or if you want to blow them up to put it on your gym wall. They're vector based, so you won't lose any quality. There's 3 on by default, but you could check out which ones you might want to turn on, or you might just want to use internally. Here's a schedule grid option. If I actually click on the schedule grid name, I actually have a lot of options to choose from. So if I wanted to make this landscape, I can do that. I can make this a minimized view or maximum by views. I can turn off color, and I can open that up and actually see the PDF grid of my event there. This is a really small schedule, so it's a really small grid. But that's it for this instructional video. Thank you for watching.